And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the 2-Point Conversion NFL DFS podcast, week 14 edition. 16 games on tap. As usual, go game by game. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric, and my two co-hosts, as always, we have Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. Bucks, how we doing?
Doing awesome, Bubba. Doing really well, thanks.
Good. And then, as always, James. You can find him on Twitter at Pater_DFS. James, how we doing?
I'd be doing better if I had DeMarcus Cousins and frickin' Zach Randolph in my NBA lineup, but not awful otherwise.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I think I have one lineup like that. It's still just men cashing, so it's okay. But before we get started, just want to throw out a little congrats to DFS Golf Gods. Those that listen to the Always Pressing pod might know this individual as Jesse. He nailed $100,000 on Sunday on the 3 max $150 entry. Big congrats to Jesse on that one. Good stuff there.
Yeah, man. He ate that W.
Yeah, he did eat that W. He ate it like Flacco ate his, unlike Winston. It was crazy. But before we just get completely off the rails, let's go at it. 16 games, like I said. Thursday night, one of the best games, at least totals-wise, on the entire slate. You have New Orleans at Atlanta. Atlanta 1-point home dogs, totals 53. This looks like a really, really good one. Bucks, kick us off in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those rare occasions that Thursday night game looks awesome. On paper, anyways. I mean, you have two studs here in as far as the teams go. Matt Ryan, who has not been good all year, it's tough because he's $6,400, which is awesome value when you consider he's averaging 35 points against New Orleans his last 4 outings. So, but you have to weigh that he hasn't been that good. And then on the other side, you got Drew Brees, who is just a bona fide stud, but he has 2 of the best running backs in the game. And so it's hard to put your faith that he's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns and hit value when there's so many other good spots on the board. But I like both of those options. I think both of them have the chance to go off. I want to keep saying to fade Kamara, but he shows up every week. I mean, he does. And that's if I played Breeze, I'm going to stack him with Kamara and hope that Kamara catches 5 or 6 balls and goes about his business and scores a touchdown and just dominates again. So Kamara would be a guy that I target. Freeman, I'm a fan of at this price. I do like Tevin Coleman, though. And again, if I play Matt Ryan, I might stack, to be contrarian, stack Coleman with Ryan and Julio, because you got Julio Jones at $8,500 and he's got a sweet matchup. So I like Julio. I like Sanu. I like Michael Thomas. The dude's super, super consistent. He's going to get 7, 8, 9, 10 targets. So definitely go that direction. I'm not going to touch anybody from a tight end perspective. And then, I mean, as a dart, $2,400 for the Saints D is perfectly fine in my opinion. Matt Ryan has been known to turn the ball over. So $2,400, the Saints D has actually caused a bunch of turnovers this year.
Yep, there's a lot to like in this game. James, what are you liking?
Mark Ingram is questionable. What's Alvin Kamara's ownership going to be if he misses?
At least 69%.
Not high enough.
Oh, it's going to be awful. It's going to be the worst fate of my life. There's no way that I'm playing Alvin Kamara for the same reasons why I wouldn't play Kareem Hunt in the beginning of the year. But, God, he's so good at football. It's crazy. Like, I'm not here to argue the dude's talent, like, at all. I'm just going to argue that I don't know. I will have to play him. If you fade him with Ingram out, you're insane.
Yeah.
That would be insane. That would not be smart. I want Ingram to play because I think that Kamara is going to garner ownership just based off of this high total and off of his production. But if Mark Ingram can't play Thursday, you have to play Kamara. And that would give me even more reason not to play the Thursday to Monday slate because I don't want to have to play Kamara. Matt Ryan has been underwhelming all year. Drew Brees has been underwhelming all year. I don't necessarily want either one of them. Julio Jones at 8,500 is nice, but Marshawn Lattimore is going to be back, I think, for this game, and he's been incredible all year. He's exactly who the college guys thought that he was going to be coming in the NFL. So Julio Jones matchup proof, but I don't know. Matt Ryan has not been good, so I don't think that I would attack that. I repeat what Buck said about Michael Thomas. He's super consistent. He's a good wide receiver. All of the tight ends in this game suck, and I don't mind the Falcons or the Saints at their price points on defense. I obviously prefer the Saints, but the only reason to play this game is if you are going to play Alvin Kamara. Otherwise, just fade this entire slate. Like, just don't play the Thursday through Monday if you're not going to play Kamara.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. You have to play Kamara. You have to make yourself different elsewhere if you're going to play the slate. I'm not interested in the quarterbacks as much. There's other options I like. I do like Julio at 85, but when we dig into the slate, like we said earlier before the pod bucks, there's a ton of receiver options here, and I could probably go elsewhere. It's mainly to play Kamara. Michael Thomas is in play. I agree with everything you guys said. I won't repeat anymore because it should be a fun one to watch, but from a fantasy point, this is one of those that wouldn't surprise you if, like, let's say Taylor Gabriel scored 2 touchdowns or something. Like, something just goofy could happen in this game because it's a lot of offense. Let's go into the Sunday main slate. You have Indianapolis at Buffalo. When I took my notes down, there was no spread or total because we're waiting on Tyrod Taylor. James, why don't you kick us off on this one?
All right, so, yeah, if Tyrod Taylor misses, which I think he will, just play that week, want to play him anyway. Let's just admit it right off the bat. Like, this Tyrod Taylor injury kind of opens them up to be able to play Peterman and let them have the quarterback that they want to play in the first place. Like, they don't care whether Tyrod Taylor comes back or not. With that being said, Peterman is awful. Like, really woke bad. He's very, very bad. And I'm not sure this team can move the ball literally at all, even against the Indianapolis Colts, with him at quarterback. If Tyrod Taylor is out and Nathan Peterman ends up being a cheap QB chalk, I will lose my freaking mind this week because people love to do that kind of stuff. And that would just blow me away. The only play that I really want in this game is LaShawn McCoy. I can't imagine playing anybody else at all besides maybe Jacoby Brissett, just based off how bad Buffalo has been. But I can't imagine playing anybody but LaShawn McCoy in this game. With that being said, LaShawn McCoy at 7,200 is a very, very nice price. But guess who's going to be back this week? Mike frickin' Tolbert. He's coming back from his hamstring injury, and so now LaShawn McCoy doesn't have the red zone touches. So I can't touch this game. Like, this is just going to be an entire coaching debacle. It's going to be awful.
Yeah, this is a game it's McCoy or pretty much nothing for me. Buffalo's defense isn't great, but it's not horrible. I'm going to pick my poison elsewhere on this slate. On the Tolbert front, practice limited today, but yeah, you're right. He should be back this weekend. But Shady at 72, solid price. They're going to have to dump it off of Peterman a lot. And, yeah, Shady for me, and that's about it, especially with Peterman at quarterback. Bucks, what are you thinking?
Yeah, there's a couple plays here that I like. I'll name 3 of them. First is Shady for obvious reasons. He's going to get the lion's share of touches, especially Peterman's in. I mean, I would expect him to have 25 touches. They have been awful all year at using him correctly, but if he gets 25 touches, I believe he hits value easy. The other guy that I actually like, because he has so many touches every game, is Frank Gore. He's $3,900 and he's touching the ball 18 times a game. And if you touch the ball 18 times a game against the Buffalo D, who hasn't been that good, I fully expect Indiana to be able to move the ball a little bit. And so if he touches the ball 18 times and has 75 yards, all I'm hoping for is one touchdown, and he's crushes value. So I actually like Frank Gore this week, primarily because I'm going to be paying up at wide receiver, so I want a couple cheap value options. The other guy that I will be playing this week in at least one lineup is Jack Doyle, just because he is a target monster. And I mean, he's going to see probably 9 targets, and I think $4,900 for a guy seeing that many targets is perfectly acceptable. So, Jack Doyle, LaShawn McCoy, and Frank Gore.
All right. Let's move on to Minnesota at Carolina. Carolina 3-point home dogs. Total is 41 in this one. Carolina defense at home is actually decent, and I'm not really looking too much at Minnesota unless you're looking at like Adam Thielen at 7,100, or 7,200. I think the price tag might scare people, and Carolina has been beat by some of these big time receivers, so I don't mind that price tag to scare people off, like in a GPP. Other than that, I look at the Carolina side of the ball, and all I've seen all week is about how quarterbacks can't run on Minnesota. Well, Minnesota really hasn't faced a running quarterback, so I don't take much of that in for granted. Give me Cam Newton at 6,200 if you're going to go up that direction. I don't mind him at all. Other than that, it's maybe some Christian McCaffrey at 67, but they've been really mixing his workload up. He's getting the points and the production, which I like a lot, but like 6, 7, 5, those are his carries. You're just dependent on the targets, which he's getting 5 or more every game. He just needs to catch him and hopefully find the end zone. So at 6,700, I don't mind him, but as you mentioned, and it's going to be repetitive on this podcast, there's a lot of really good receivers. So $6,700 might be a little. If I'm going to go that much, I might just go higher to Shady or a Melvin Gordon or those types. But that's about all I like on this one. James, what do you like in Carolina and Minnesota?
Man, not a lot. Like, I think the Cam Newton at 6,200 is not a bad price. I don't care really about teams that, quote unquote, have been good about running quarterbacks because it's hard. Like, we already deal with short samples in the NFL season as is because we only have 16 games. And when people say that a team is good at shutting down running quarterbacks because they faced one running quarterback on the year, it's like, are they though, or did they only have one shot and do it pretty well? Like, so I think that 6,200 for Cam Newton is good for his rushing touchdown equity and for his passing touchdown equity. You nailed it on Christian McCaffrey. 6,700 is not a bad price. He's getting the production of McCoy, who's basically what McCaffrey wants to be. I don't have any reason to drop down to McCaffrey, I don't think. At wide receiver, Diggs' price just keeps dropping, and I'm going to continue to waste money on him because I think that he's so good. He's such a good wide receiver, but they just, oh man, I don't know. I'm going to continue throwing money at him because I think he's really, really good. While everybody else has Adam Thielen, who is also really, really good, but is way more heavily owned. I don't really care to have any of the tight ends in this game, like Greg Olsen. If I hear that Olsen is going to play all the snaps, just because of his repertoire with Cam Newton, but otherwise, no thanks. Both defenses are actually appropriately placed, so you could go either one here. Panthers at home, I always prefer the home defense over the away defense. I don't know. I think it's really just Cam Newton for me in this game. I don't really like anybody else in this game. I think they could do okay. This should be a fun game in real life, a fun game for fantasy.
Yeah, they came out today saying Olsen won't have a snap count on Sunday. He should be good to go.
Yeah, in that case, I'm fine with Greg Olsen. I think that he's an elite option, always.
Yeah. What do you got on this one, Bucks?
Yeah, so what did you say the over-under was?
41.
See, this is one of those games that people think is going to be defensive that I think just blows through that total. Like, I like the spot Cam Newton's in. I agree with both of you. Honestly, I don't think any defense matters when you're talking about a Cam Newton type athlete.
Yep.
And so when he's running as much as he is, I fully expect him to get 50 to 60 yards on the ground this game, and that's just a huge fantasy bump. So I like Cam Newton, but I would much rather prefer Case Keenum for $100 less because of his weapons. The dude's been on fire. Carolina's defense have averaged, I think they're giving up like 24, 25 points a game to the QB the last 4 weeks. So I like Case Keenum because he has Thielen, he has Diggs, he has Rudolph. He has an insane group of receivers. And much like James, I am going to continue to play Diggs until he has his 40-point breakout game that he has every year. He had one, I think, the beginning of the season, maybe the first game. And then it's been the Thielen show. I fully expect at some point in time that's going to turn around. And I want to be there when it happens. And at $5,800, I can afford for that to happen. Like, to just play him and hope he hits. So I love Diggs this week. Love, love, love. I'm likely going to have a Keenum, Thielen, Diggs stack to cover all bases. Tight end perspective, tough matchup for both tight ends anyways, so I'm not touching it. And I'm definitely not touching the Ds because, like I said, I think this game blows through that total.
And one good thing about Diggs for the GPP angle you guys are talking about, there's a very, very chalky receiver at $5,500 we'll talk about later that could be a nice pivot off of right there. Chicago at Cincinnati. Cincinnati 6-point home favorite coming off that just physical Monday Night Football game against Pittsburgh. Total's only 37 in this one. Cincinnati team total 21.5. Chicago 15.5. Bucks, take us away on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like much in this game, and I am definitely not playing Dalton, and I'm 100% not playing Trubisky, so I'm avoiding that much. I don't like any of the running back options. The only guy here that I would potentially play is AJ Green at $7,300. But even then, when I look at the matchup, when I look at Dalton behind him, I mean, he's going to get his, but there's a lot of really good wide receivers on this slate. So AJ Green is going to be in a lineup for sure for me because I think at $7,300 he's value. But outside of that, I mean, I would say that the Bears D at $2,500 is definitely in play for me. I know that's one of James's teams for a cheap D, but I do like the Bears at that price.
Yeah, Bears defense at 25, definitely alive. If you pay up a little more, Cincy at 33 is not bad either, but if you want to save, 25 is not bad. The only reason I'm really looking at this game is if you're looking for some random value, like you can still go, especially in cash, Inman at 4K. He's going to get you probably 10-plus points. That's their only target, the only way they're going to go. So I don't mind him at 4K. And then the chalk running back of the week, if Mixon is out with his concussion, is Gio Bernard at 3,100. It's Gio Bernard. So, yes, the name is very tilting, but $3,100, you have to play it and just eat the chalk because it's like we talked about with Kamara. He's going to be like 80% owned, and if he even gets 15-plus points, he's just going to bury you if he has a big game. So at 3,100, just watch the updates. I doubt Mixon plays this week, but for some reason, if like at 9:30 Pacific, I guess 12:30 your guys' time, Mixon all of a sudden is a start at $5,200, no one's going to own him. So just keep that in mind as well.
If Mixon somehow starts like that late, we get the news. You know how many lineups are going to be just garbage because they're trying to swap some $3,100 player out?
Oh yeah, it's going to be wild. So it'll make things really interesting. So just keeping an ear on that. But I don't think Mixon plays. This is a pretty bad game. It should just be back and forth. That's why I don't mind the 3,100 Bernard. But the defenses are the plays. I can't go back to Howard anymore at 54. If you guys want to, I don't blame you. We know the talent's there. I just can't figure it. It's like they must be putting 12 guys in the box and just saying Trubisky throw it because it's all I can think of.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I haven't physically watched the Bears game because I like my eyes, but it's what it is. James, do you see anything appealing in this ball game for you?
I literally don't want anything from this ball game.
That's what I thought. All right, we'll make that quick and easy. Green Bay at Cleveland. Cleveland 3-point home dogs. Totals 41 in this one. I'll let you kick this one off, James.
Yeah, sure. I should say that if Joe Mixon is like actually confirmed out, then yeah, you should pay Giovanni Bernard because he's going to be ultra chalk, and he really does have upside at 3,100. So,
yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, just I'm avoiding that game. Green Bay at Cleveland. Give me all the Josh Gordon. He's going to be % on this week. I don't care. I played last week when nobody else did, so I get first dibs. I should be the only person that should be allowed to use him because I have full Brown stack.
If it was only that easy.
I should be allowed to use him. Josh Gordon is a great play this week. He's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get a lot of ownership, but he's a really, really good play. I also like Devontae Adams at 6,600. I think that he's fair. He is Hundley's favorite target. I do not like Hundley. I'll say that. Phillip Rivers is the first quarterback to get 300 yards against the Browns since like week 2 or something like that. So I don't think that trend is going to continue. Deshaun Kaiser at 4,900 is a nice play. I think that Kaiser, Josh Gordon's pretty good, even though Kaiser has not been great. I think with better wide receivers, he can be better. And at 4,900, he has plenty of upside. He has a couple QB1 games on the year already. So I like him at 4,900. The running back situation for Green Bay is going to be super weird. I don't know who's going to get the touches. I don't know who's going to do what. So I'm mostly avoiding that. I don't really want Duke Johnson or Isaiah Crowell because Duke Johnson's been good, but he hasn't shown a ceiling. He's good for cash games. He just has not. He doesn't do much else than make like low value. Like he does what you need him to do for you to hit 150 points in cash games, but he doesn't do much else. At tight end, I can't touch tight end in this game. And for defense, the Packers are way overpriced at 3,700, and the Browns are slightly overpriced at 2,600. So the only play that I want in this game is Josh Gordon. And as a secondary, I'll take Deshaun Kaiser. I don't hate him at 4,900.
What do you got on this one, Bucks?
Yeah, so there's a couple plays here that I like. I do like Kaiser because, as James mentioned, he was all over Gordon last week, which led me to play him, and that was awesome. And I think he's going to go bananas this game. I really liked a lot of the things that I had heard or have been hearing this week about Josh Gordon and how game ready he was last week. So I'm all in. I mean, at $5,500, huge upside there. The only thing that I will say, the one play that I just love this game, and please tell me if I'm just an idiot, but it's supposed to be 29 and snowing. I love Crowell at 4K. I think he's going to pound the rock and pound the rock and pound the rock, especially if the game stays close, which I think it will. I love him this week at that price. I know they're the Browns, and I know they're the Browns, so it's tough to get that excited. But he's one of the guys that stood out for me this week to have a real big comeback game at a low ownership. So I love Crowell this week.
Yeah. I echo the Gordon sentiments. We won't drag on with that anymore. That's just lock and load. But I do like Duke Johnson, as I always do. He had a bad week last week. I'll be back on him at 46. When he's in that 4K range, I'll pretty much have him in some lineups weekly. And I don't mind Kaiser. He's getting it done with his legs and through the air lately. He's had 3 of his last 4 games been very, very good fantasy-wise, and he's still below 5K, so I don't hate on that. The one that intrigues me that I'm surprised, Bucks, you've been on this guy forever, is their tight end David Njoku. He's 3K, and he's actually starting to get some consistent run out there. 4 catches in back-to-back games. They're targeting him in the red zone now. He's starting to get a little rapport with this guy. He's actually playing, I believe, 60 to 70% of snaps finally. So I don't mind him at all for $3,000 as a cheap tight end. I think he's in play, especially if you're building a stack, if not just a one-off cheap tight end. The one thing I want to look at on the Green Bay side, besides Adams isn't a bad play, is I want to see what comes out this week with the running back situation. If Williams gets the load like he did the last few weeks, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But Jones was kind of working his way back into the lineup last week. If he's more of an important part, it worries me. But even with Jones, he was getting 18-plus carries a week. So I think there's a lot to that with Jamal Williams at 5,900. The one way to beat Cleveland is through the ground, so I don't mind him at $5,900. This game, I'm sickly excited for. San Francisco at Houston. Jimmy G versus Savage. Houston's 3-point home favorites. Total is 43. I like so much value in this game because it's almost all value, but Bucks kick us off in this one.
Man, thanks for giving me the start here. This is a
I almost took it. I almost got greedy. But this one,
you take it.
No.
This is your game, man.
No, Jimmy G at 55. I love him. He's going to be chalky this week. He looks great. But what I really love is Marquise Goodwin at 5,100. The guy, it sucks the price tag has gone up because we've been playing him almost all year. We recommended him, I think, almost every week on this pod.
Yeah.
I absolutely love him, even at 5,100 in this matchup. He can run right past these defenders. And Jimmy G, I know it's only his first week, but heck, 8 targets your first week with him, 8 for 8 for 99 yards. I'll take that all week. I know it's not going to happen that easily, but I like him. The sneaky receiver on the Niners is Trent Taylor at 3,300 if you want value. He caught all 6 of his targets for 92 yards. One was a big 33-yarder on the final drive, but the fact he got 5 targets even before that drive at 3,300, I will take that into play. Height is always a value at 6K. On the other side, I love Tom Savage at $4,800. Bucks mentioned him last week, and I kind of was looking at him, didn't play him. Good week at 20.5 points. Yeah. He's been 15.5 or more in 2 of his last 3, and this is a phenomenal matchup against the Niners, who we target all the time with offensive players. So I don't mind him at $4,800. One thing James mentions a lot are attempts. He has 32 or more attempts in his last 4 games. Lamar Miller at 58 is a nice cheap running back. There's no Foreman to bug him anymore. He's actually getting 4 to 5 pass attempts a game plus his rushing attempts, so I don't mind him. Hopkins is always a great play at 85. I know I'm naming everybody, but this is phenomenal. You got Steven Anderson at tight end at $3,200 because there aren't a lot of weapons for Savage's 32-plus pass attempts. So Anderson at 32, I think, is sneaky. Well, he's not going to be as sneaky after last week, where he had 5 catches, 79 of 12 targets, but he's a former receiver turned tight end. That's why he's got some good skills there. Last but not least, if you need another cheap receiver, you go on the Houston side of things, and you look, if he plays, he's questionable now, but Braxton Miller at $3,100, he is one of the only other options they have if Wayne Ellington is out. So at $3,100, opposite Hopkins, he had 4 for 71 last week. He actually put up 10 or more points, or 9 or more points in back-to-back starts for $3,100. I love some Braxton Miller if Ellington is out. With that being said, Bucks, take it away.
It's hard for me to argue against Garoppolo in this spot because it's just insanely good, and I do love Goodwin. $5,100 is getting up there, but the dude's good. He's getting the targets. He's fast. I think he's going to expose this defense. But I am going to go back to Savage this week. $4,800 for a guy playing a terrible defense and has one of the best receivers in the game. I'm all about it. So I'll likely have a Savage, Hopkins, an Anderson stack. You're right. Anderson will be a little bit chalky this week. But $3,200 for a guy that's going to see 10-plus targets, again, if you have Fuller and Miller out this week, is almost a lock to hit value, in my opinion. So those 3 I love. On the other side of the ball, I like Goodwin, like I said, but Carlos Hyde's really, really good as far as usage and targets. And so I really like him at 6K. I know that he is a little pricey compared to some of the other guys in that skill set, I guess. But for a guy that's going to touch the ball or get 16, 17 carries and 6 targets, I love it. James.
Yeah, y'all hit everything. I don't have anything else really to add to this. I'm not as high on Tom Savage as you guys are. He's still just Tom Savage in my mind. I think that his volume is there, and that's fine. And DeAndre Hopkins is a good wide receiver. I don't know. It's something about Tom Savage. I'd rather have Deshaun Kaiser, who I think has more upside, and can use his legs, and has Josh Gordon, who we all love. I would just rather have that combination of Kaiser, Josh Gordon for way cheaper than Savage, DeAndre Hopkins, and I think there's just much upside there. But I understand the Savage love on this. San Francisco is really, really bad against pass. Marquise Goodwin at 5,100, maybe getting up there in price for what he is, but he has had the volume, so I can understand that too. Overall, this game is fine to stack. Like, both these defenses suck, but I'm not sure that I want to go there quite yet.
And I'll say one more thing the reason why I like this game a little more is this time of year we're playing in a dome, and that goes a long ways for me at least, picking offensive production. But could just be me. All right. Oakland at Kansas City. Kansas City 4-point home favorites. Total is 47. James, before we take all your picks this time, why don't you kick it off?
Oh, man, you guys are going to leave me with this game where you know that I want every single player?
Yes.
Well, I know your favorite running back's playing.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the running backs. Let's talk about Kareem Hunt, how I'm not going to play him literally ever again. It's 6,500 is – God, he has been atrocious. Atrocious. They will not give him the ball, which is not a new thing. Like, of course they're not going to give him the ball. He's faced 4 of the worst run defenses in the league in the last 4 weeks and topped double-digit fantasy points just barely twice. He hasn't hit value since, let's see.
Week 3.
Week 3 or 4.
3.
Depending on how you want to look at value. Yeah. So, basically, he's been just absolutely god-awful. So, not touching Kareem Hunt. I'm not touching Marshawn Lynch. I think that he's getting too much love for a 31-year-old running back who's coming into this game, going kind of like across the country, Kansas City, middle basically freaking nowhere. I don't know. I don't really like Marshawn Lynch that much. I think that Derek Carr has been ultra underwhelming this year. Amari Cooper probably not going to play. Alex Smith is Alex Smith. Michael Crabtree is probably the best play in this game. I think that if you did want to play it, you would have to be hoping that Alex Smith finds Tyreek Hill 12 times for 3 million yards and that Crabtree has to bring it back. Kelsey at 7,400 is probably the only high-priced tight end that you're going to want to take this week. I haven't looked forward onto the slate yet, but I don't think that Ertz is even – he might not even play. I know he was limited in practice, so –
he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, concussion protocol. So, yeah, Kelsey at 7,400. It's just the same situation as last week. If you think that Kansas City is going to score points, you know exactly who to take. You just double stack up with Alex Smith, Travis Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill and just go for it and then bring it back with Michael Crabtree. But I am just going to avoid this game. I don't think there's enough efficiency going on here for me to like it.
All righty then. Bucks, what do you have in this one?
Yeah. I am a Kansas City hater, and only because of the fantasy purposes for people just absolutely loving on all of them from a fantasy perspective all year long. And yeah, they suck. I mean, Kareem Hunt is the worst because I know exactly what's going to happen. He's been overpriced all year. He hasn't hit value since week 3. Now he's $6,500 and he's going to have a breakout game that's going to fucking piss me off. I will have one game or one lineup with Kareem Hunt, and that's it. I hate Kareem Hunt. But if they use him correctly, he could have a week 1, 2, or 3 type game. So maybe he breaks a 40-yard run because that's the only way that he scores. So outside of that, you guys know that I love Oakland, especially in this spot. So I'm going to be playing a Carr and Crabtree stack. I will likely pair him up with another receiver. I just don't know who yet. Cooper is likely not going to be playing. And I will not play Jared Cook ever. If you are a tight end playing against the Giants and get one catch, you are garbage. Garbage. So I will never play Jared Cook. Alex Smith is good. I mean, $6,500. He makes things happen, but Carr and Crabtree are my best plays here. I don't think that Tyreek Hill at $7,100 with all the pieces around him is worth it.
Yeah, this is an interesting game because these two teams shot out earlier this year in Oakland, 31-30. Both quarterbacks had really good games. Smith, almost 29 DraftKings points. And you have Derek Carr at 33.18 DraftKings points. So both are definitely in play. 6,400, 6,500, like you guys said, not too much there. Crabtree at 67, especially if no Cooper is even that much sweeter. If there's no Cooper, Cordell Patterson at $3,800 continues to get it done. So I don't hate on that at all. The depleted secondary with another suspension today for the Chiefs, they could get easily picked apart worse than normal. So I don't mind that. And like James and Bucks, you guys both said it. Smith, Hill, Kelsey, if you're going that way, that's the way to go. I do like Hill if you're just going to go with a one-off at 7,100. I think he's been productive for over a month straight now without really a bad week. But last week was the big week, so he might be too high-owned to make it worth it. But if you're stacking, I don't mind the stack. It should be a very good game. Hopefully the total – it's one of the higher totals on the main slate, so hopefully it leads up to what it's supposed to be, and, those are the right plays. Lynch at 5,700 isn't bad, but there's other running backs in that area I prefer to go to. He had his big week last week. I'll go 5,800 to Lamar Miller or something. Detroit at Tampa Bay. We're waiting on the Matt Stafford news, and that is big news because that could completely change this game around, like big time. Yeah. Bucks, kick us off on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to be waiting on that Stafford news as well because this is a prime matchup. Same with Winston. Winston has a sick matchup here. So I do like him this game. He's been throwing a ton, and he has hit value quite a few times this year. So I love him this week in this matchup, and I really like Evans at $6,900. I mean, everybody, honestly, every receiving option in this game, even Brait at $4,100 is just prime. I mean, like Evans, awesome. Jones, awesome. Tate, awesome. Deshaun Jackson, $4,400 for Deshaun Jackson, awesome. Even Galladay at $3,900 is awesome. So I love this game. And I mean, Barber. I mean, I don't know what happened last game, but Barber just came out of nowhere and just got it done, man. I mean, he crushed last week, so good for him. I mean, he's definitely in play as well. But I really, really like a full, like, legit full-on game stack here. Like Winston, Evans, Jackson, Tate, Galladay. Like, just give me all of them, man. I mean, it's good. And then Brait as well. I mean, super value there. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think. But if I had to pick one guy to play in this game, it's going to be Deshaun Jackson because I think he's super value there.
Yeah, and Darius Slay will be on Evans, so it'll open things up a ton. What do you got on this one, James?
Yeah, it's a Lions away game. So the Lions are going to play slow like they always do. They're going to run kind of huddled up. They're going to try to slow the game down because they know that that has worked for them. That's been kind of a Jim Bob Cooter thing that they've done through the years, or through the year, I guess, year and a half, whatever. Coming back 5,900, he looked okay. This Detroit pass defense is not good for as good as Darius Slay is. It's really interesting that they have such a good corner actually defend the pass, and I don't really understand how that works, but I'm not going to argue it either. We love attacking the secondary wide receiver. This is kind of the same situation as we have with the Cardinals, so I'm all over Deshaun Jackson at 4,400. That is way too cheap. Came through last week. Great call, Bubba. He was a fantastic play. 4,100. He's still too cheap for what Winston can bring to him. The running backs in this game all suck. Every single running back in this game is bad at football. Like that, none of them know what to do with the ball in their hands anymore. I don't know what happened, but none of them are good. So I'm not touching any running backs. And then at defense, I do think that the Buccaneers at 2,800 is interesting because Stafford is much worse on the road, and they can get sacks and they can get pressures and they can get interceptions. So 2,800 for the Bucs defense is not bad. And then people think that Darius Slay is the best cornerback in the world. He's not. Mike Evans at 6,900 is actually a pretty nice price. Against a good cornerback, I do think that Darius Slay is good, but Mike Evans is pretty good at football. So I like the passing options for Tampa Bay, and I like their defense, but that's pretty much the only thing that I would really touch from this game. I don't like the Lions. They run slow, methodical offenses that don't really have big plays, and I kind of feel like the wide receivers are overpriced, so I would probably avoid Detroit, but I do like Tampa Bay side.
Yeah, I'll echo the sentiments of both of you. Getting Mike Evans at $6,900, that's a top-tier receiver who had a down week on Winston's first week back from an injury. I'm going to let that one slide, and Evans is the kind of guy that I guarantee you in the locker room this week had a few choice words to be said about give me the darn ball. So I wouldn't be shocked if he has more of a workload in that one. But I do like Jackson at 44. That is the play if you're making one play. Completely agree with both of you on that. Braid at 41, not bad either. I can't trust Barber yet. I don't know what they're going to do with their backfield. Martin was out last week. He's going to be back. That'll change a lot. If you want a GPP flyer, if Abdullah is out and he's pretty banged up and might sit out, I know everyone's going to flock to Riddick. Tion Green at $3,600. Like you said, James, they like to slow it down the road. When Abdullah got hurt last week, Green 11 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. And that was only on part of the game, so he could be that the every down back by Riddick, still the receiving back at 3,600 in a GPP only. Don't play him a ton. It's just a dart. Just keep your eye on him if Abdullah's out. Outside of that, it all depends on the Detroit receiving options. Depends a ton if Stafford goes, and I'm still worried it's his throwing hand that's beat up. So I really don't even know if I trust it then, but we shall see. Either way, I agree, James. The defense for Tampa Bay at $2,800 is one of the better sub 3K defenses I like on this week's slate. They're better at home than on the road, averaging almost 9 points a game, and Detroit will slow it down, as you said. So I will definitely look that way for a cheap defense. All right. Dallas at the Giants, the return of Eli Manning, what we all wanted to hear. The Giants, 4.5-point home dogs, totals 41.5. James, kick us off in New York.
Well, Hall of Fame Eli Manning is back because, of course, he is. Just move on from him, man. Like, there's no reason to bring him back to this team. Just tank. See what you got in the other quarterbacks. You know that you're going to draft a quarterback if you don't like the people who you have behind Eli Manning. It's not like you can continue to ride Eli Manning into the sunset for 3 freaking years. Like, just tank the team, dude. This is so frustrating. Both of these teams suck right now. Neither one of these teams can do anything right. I'm not going to put any trust in Eli Manning to do well, even at 4,800. I know that it's Dallas, but he was just benched for freaking Geno Smith. Like, I'm not going to play like Manning coming back after being benched for Geno Smith. It's not going to happen. I don't care if they're playing like a high school team. He's not good at this point in his career. Dak Prescott at 5,600 is better because he can run. At least he's not just going to stand back there like a freaking statue, you know? Yeah, I feel strongly about this. I'm not sure why. I don't like when coaches make stupid decisions. So I rant about it a lot. Alfred Morris at 5,500 is fantastic play. He's getting the volume and he's getting the touchdown equity, and that matters. So 5,500 for Alfred Morris when we know that they want to run the ball is a really nice price. Rod Smith worries me at 3,900 because Jason Garrett is a jackass. So Alfred Morris is fine at 5,500. Wide receivers, Des Bryant still has not had a 100-yard reception game since ever. So 5,900, you have to hope that he scores 2 touchdowns in order to pay off value. Sterling Shepard at 5,300 is good if he plays, just based on what he can do. I don't want anything in this game. This game pisses me off because it's just like a whole bunch of awful, exasperated by people thinking that awful will turn around. I don't want anything in this game at all.
Bucks, do you want anything in this game?
That would be a no. I mean, honestly, Alfred Morris. I like him at $5,500. I think he's a solid option. And honestly, the only other guy that I would consider playing is Jason Witten, because it's the Giants and the Giants stuck against the tight end. But Jason Witten's also 68 years old and runs a 7.2 40, so I can't trust him either. So I think Alfred Morris is the only guy here.
In week 1, when Witten was healthy, he had 7 for 59 and a touchdown against him, but that was week 1. So you're going to hear that narrative all week long. Yeah, you're going to hear that all week long. But I do like Alf at 55, especially this being the last week without Zeke. So they might run him into the ground in this one. Get ready for Zeke next week. I don't mind a Shepard at 5,300. That's a really, really, really cheap price because even as bad as Eli was, Shepard was very productive. Very productive. So I don't mind him at 53. Ingram at 6K. Those are 2 of the better receiving players at their positions at decent prices. Ingram's pricey for a tight end, but still not bad at 6K against the Cowboys team that just they're not that good at defense. But really, like you guys said, it's Alf Morris. If I don't even want to, I'm just going to go on before I say anymore. Tennessee at Arizona. Arizona's a 3-point home dog. Total's 44. Blaine Gabbert, $4,800. Sign me up. I have not been on the train yet, and he has been very productive. Sneaky productive, and it's disappointing. Now he faces a Tennessee team that's horrible at defense. So I like Gabbert at home at 4,800 with a Larry Fitz at only $6,500. Don't mind that at all. I want to keep an eye on the injury report because Jaron Brown and John Brown and J.J. Nelson, they're all questionable. So whoever the number 2 receiver is, they're all 3,400 and J.J.'s 32. Those could be some value for you there. On Tennessee side of thing, all I want is Delaney Walker. If that, he's banged up, he's questionable. It's pretty much Gabbert, Fitz, and maybe a cheap receiver. Otherwise, just those 2. And Arizona defense at $2,800, I don't mind against Mariota, who just really he's not that good. Tennessee keeps finding ways to win. I don't know how because they're really not that good of a football team. So I like Gabbert a lot this week at $4,800, which is scary. But Bucks, what do you like in this one?
Fitzgerald is really the only guy that I like this week. $6,500 for a guy that is averaging 10 targets a game is super value. So I'm going to go that direction. Delaney Walker, if his ankle's okay, I might go there, but he's pricey as all get out. So if he goes, I might look that way because he's just one of the most consistent tight ends in the league. But really, it's all about Fitzgerald. And I can see the Gabbert play. But I don't know. He does like to sling the ball. And if all his receivers are kind of banged up, that would limit his value for me because he does rely on the big pass quite a bit. I think he has like he's averaging over like 2 passes over 25 yards a game his last 3 games or something like that. But yeah, or Fitzgerald, please.
Yeah, solid play there. James, what are you liking in this one?
I can support Abbott call. 4,800. He has legs. He has Larry Fitzgerald, who's somehow still running around the field without falling over from old age. That's really the only thing that I can like in this game. Tennessee is ultra mediocre, even though they keep winning games. You're right. That's a sign of good coaching. That's a sign of like a good coaching staff utilizing talent well.
Yeah.
And finding ways to win, and I'm really impressed with them, but I don't like them for fantasy purposes. The only play in this game, I think, is Blaine Gabbert to Larry Fitzgerald. And then you could take the Cardinals at 2,800 for a defense. I think that's totally fine. Mariota has taken a big step back this season, so I don't know. Maybe he's injured. Maybe he's still not healthy from that early hamstring injury that he had, but I really just want Blaine Gabbert and Larry Fitzgerald. And then if every wide receiver is injured besides Larry Fitzgerald, like I don't even know where to go. I don't know the depth chart that deep into this team. So it's just, man, weird. So yeah, I just want Blaine Gabbert and Larry Fitzgerald and the Arizona Cardinals defense. I don't want any part of Tennessee. I don't know what to expect from them at this point in this year.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my question for you guys. His name is going everywhere, and he's up to $3,400 now. Ricky Seals-Jones has actually had a rapport with Blaine Gabbert. I can't bring myself to play him.
I'm not doing that.
But if the receivers are out,
if I needed chalk that bad, or not chalk, if I needed somebody that bad, that low, maybe. But this week there's so many good options, so many.
Okay, I just wanted to bring him up because everywhere you turn, his name's being mentioned. So I wanted none of us brought him up, which I thought was kind of funny, but so just wanted to bring that one to the table. Jets at the Broncos. Broncos 1-point home dogs. Total's only 41 in this one. The Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber Josh McCown travels to Denver. Bucks, what do you have on this one?
Oh man, honestly, I don't want any of it. Like, legitimately, ASJ, maybe. That's about it. Safarian Jenkins, $3,600 is solid value, and that's literally the only guy in this entire game that I would play.
What about you, James?
I'm not ready to live in a world where Josh McCown is a decent play against the Denver Broncos defense in Denver. I'm not ready to live in that world. I'm not ready to live in that world. I'm not ready to live in a world where Zach Randolph puts up a 50 burger against the Cavs. I'm not ready to live in this world that I'm in right now. The Denver Broncos defense has given up 30 points per game over the last 5 weeks. The Jets are a competent offense. You could stack them, man. Like, you could legit go McCown, Robbie Anderson, and Jermaine Kearse and actually have a chance. And people won't do it because of the Denver Broncos, but good God, it's so bad. I don't want any part of the Denver Broncos at all, period. The only thing that I can't believe that I'm suggesting this, the only thing that I want out of this game is a Josh McCown jet stack against the Denver Broncos in frickin' Denver, which is gross. It's so gross. But here we are.
I love it.
The world we live in.
Love
now.
it.
No.
You make me so happy sometimes, James. You really do. McCown was the man that. Well, McCown's the one that led Jesse to $100,000. Let's put that one first.
No, not McCown. An entire jet stack.
Yes, an entire jet stack. And my mini jet stack of McCown and Anderson got me my best score last week. So I've been using McCown at least once or twice every week, and he just keeps getting it done. And like you said, James, this Denver defense is not what people think it is. It is very, very bad the last half of this season. It's been horrible. You can throw on these guys.
The one thing I have to mention real quick is the Jets. the Jets the last couple games have played teams that can score, and McCown has kept up. Denver is not going to move the ball.
That could definitely come into play. I can't argue that. I still like McCown $6,000 because even in games where they didn't score, he was at least putting up like 15 points with the upside to go big. It's like he's only had like one dud. That's my thing. His floor is pretty solid, and I like Robbie Anderson. Even if they don't score a ton, he could get the one touchdown. This guy, I know he's $6,500 now, but he is just awesome. He's fast. He's running past defense. He's running through defenses. 10-plus targets in 2 straight games. He is a stud at 6,500. I am all aboard with you, James. ASJ is down to 3,600. Denver is not good against the tight end. You could go Curse if you want. They've been lining them up in the slot a lot lately, which makes it kind of interesting. So a jet stack. I am all aboard. All aboard, and I will not make the mistake I made last week with Denver. I apologize. That was horrible. If they can't beat the goddamn Miami Dolphins, I don't know what to tell you. It is that was some of the worst football I've ever seen. It was unbelievably bad. So maybe Osweiler comes in, and that's the only thing that will save the receivers, but I'm not going to count on that. So McCown, Anderson, I love it.
And how crazy is this? It's supposed to be 60 degrees in Denver on game day.
Yeah, there's a warm front coming through here. It's going to be beautiful there. Afternoon game.
Dude,
it's going to be nice.
It's been beautiful over the last couple months. Beautiful.
McCown's blonde hair will be flowing as he celebrates touchdown passes. It's going to be great. I can see it now. Washington at the Chargers, one of the better football teams right now. The Chargers, I can actually say that with confidence. They are 6-point home favorites. Total's 46. Now, one thing I will say, this LA game with the fires going on right now, I wouldn't be shocked if this one gets postponed. Let's keep an eye on that one. But James, kick us off. Washington at the Chargers.
Well, Kirk Cousins is probably not a bad option this week at 5,900. Deshaun Kaiser should have had a good game last week. He just missed 4 or 5 big throws that would have really changed the tide of how his week went. But he actually didn't do bad. So Kirk Cousins, I think, is a much better quarterback than Deshaun Kaiser. And is playing this Chargers team that isn't really good against the pass. I mean, this Chargers team is basically the Browns. Or no, not the Browns, the Lions. This Chargers team is basically the Lions defense, whereas they have Casey Hayward, who's a very, very good cornerback, but then the rest of them just can't defend a chair. So, I mean, their pass defense isn't really good. Casey Hayward is just really good. So, we have to assume that Hayward will be on Doxton, and Crowder will be wide open in the slot all day. So I'll go back to Crowder again, man. He's been fantastic for the last couple weeks since they got him involved. At 5,900, I still think that he's a decent price. And you could have him and Diggs next to each other in the same lineup for just about the same price and make a pretty decent team. Keenan Allen is now 8,300, which is frickin' gross, but he deserves it because of incredible, incredible production. So I wouldn't mind going back to that. I think people have kind of forgotten about Melvin Gordon. But at 7,800, I think Melvin Gordon is in play this week as a home favorite against this Washington team that was good against the run for a while, but now just isn't. I mean, I don't know what happened, but they can't defend the run at all anymore. And then Samaje Perine over on the other side at 5,600, I think is just fine. Maybe I'd prefer Alfred Morris over Samaje Perine in this price range, but I don't mind Perine if you want to take that route. Hunter Henry at 4,600 is in another smash spot against Washington. I don't mind taking him again. And then the defenses, Chargers are 3,600 is probably a little bit pricey, but I don't think it's awful. So overall, I don't mind fully game stacking this. I could take a full game stack utilizing Washington with Kirk Cousins and Jameson Crowder and then bring it back to Keenan Allen. Or you could take Phillip Rivers with Keenan Allen and bring it back with Jameson Crowder, whatever you want to do. But I think there's going to be a lot of passing in this game.
Yep. Bucks, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, you got Phillip Rivers, who's averaging 300-plus yards and 2 touchdowns over his last 4 games. So he's definitely in play with as banged up as the Redskins are everywhere. And I would say that I'm not a fan of Keenan Allen being that pricey, but like James said, you can't ignore the production he has had. And he is a guy that I think can expose Norman and crew because he's that shifty. I'm not going to go that direction because of the price and because I'm a Redskins fan. But I can definitely see why you would play him. I'm glad that James mentioned Crowder. I love him this week. $5,900 for a guy that's going to see double-digit targets is insane. Kirk Cousins is also a good option. I mean, I would say that the only thing that bothers me is, well, two things. One, the Chargers have been really good against quarterbacks and the pass over the last few weeks. Really good. And the Redskins' offensive line is just annihilated right now. Like, everybody is hurt. Everybody. It's insane. And so I am not entirely sure that they can stop the pass rush of the Chargers. And it's not even that good. So I think I'm going to avoid the majority of the Redskins. I love Melvin Gordon this week. Love him this week. $7,800. He's getting used. And I love Hunter Henry this week. Redskins are not good against tight end. They can't cover him. And if you figure that they're going to have help with Keenan Allen, I love Hunter Henry this week. Outside of Hunter Henry and Melvin Gordon, I personally like the Chargers defense this week, only because the Redskins offensive line is just garbage right now.
Yeah, I would say the Chargers off defense at 36 is actually pretty good. I know it's like barely 50% of the time, but 6 of their 11 games they have 3 or more sacks with a couple 4s and a couple 5s in there. So a bad offensive line they could feast with. Other than that, I pretty much echo your guys' stuff. I don't mind Cousins and Crowder, but Buck's part about the O-line kind of gets me thinking a little bit differently, but I still like Crowder for sure. But Rivers, Allen, I loved Hunter Henry just like you guys do. I think Hunter Henry is a great play at 4,600. Gordon is in play for me weekly at 78, but you can do a Gordon Chargers defense stack there. I don't mind that. Or you can go Rivers, Allen, Henry. I don't mind that either. So I think there's a lot of plays here. We've noticed with the Chargers, even if they're big favorites, it takes them a while to pull away if they pull away at all usually. So Rivers is going to throw a lot, which also means a pick or two to keep it close, to keep him throwing. So I don't mind it at all. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch there in the afternoon. Seattle at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 3-point home favorites over the Seattle Seahawks. Total is 39. Bucks, kick us off here.
Yeah, I don't know. This is really tough, man. I mean, you have a guy in Russell Wilson who James will touch on in a bit, but the dude's phenomenal and makes things happen against everybody. And so I am really, really, really excited to watch this game because it will test Russell Wilson. But on the flip side, I'm excited to watch this game because this game is going to show everybody just how good Jacksonville is as far as the defense goes. Because Russell Wilson is great at extending the play, breaking up a defensive set, and making things happen. And if he can expose this game, I think they have a really good shot. With that being said, I can't tell you not to play Russell Wilson at $6,200. The guy's been on fire. I understand how good Jacksonville is, but that's how good Russell Wilson is. So I'm playing Russell Wilson this week. He's playing against Jacksonville, which means his ownership's going to be lower. So I'm going to play him. I'm not sure where I'll go from a receiver perspective, but if I'm playing Russell Wilson, I might play Baldwin. But honestly, a naked Russell Wilson this week might be in my lineup. I can't play Leonard Fournette. Just can't do it. The dude's a beast, but he said it this week on Twitter that he's got whatever he said, 12 or 13 guys in the box. What do you expect him to do? On the other side of the ball, Marquise Lee, I really like if he is healthy. I think he's expected to play, but he has been really, really solid in getting just an enormous amount of targets. So I like Marquise Lee this week. The one guy that I'm going to keep an eye on, I think it's just precautionary, is Jimmy Graham. The dude is a touchdown machine. And so Russell Wilson, Jimmy Graham, those are the two guys I would have, and then Marquise Lee on the opposite side.
What about you, James?
I can't say to play Russell Wilson against Jags. I know. I'm sorry. Like, I know, and I talk about him all the time, how he's incredible, and I get it. But, like, there's two things going against him, and they both weigh equally for me. So one is that he's playing the Jags. The Jags have been as good as Russell Wilson has been at avoiding pressure and being good against all odds. The Jags have been just as good on defense. Like, both of this is an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Like, absolutely. Russell Wilson can win this matchup, absolutely, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to go there. Like, I would. There's just other spots that seem more easily exploitable, but that price on Russell Wilson, this is a really, really hard thing. But I did say on my radio show that you should drop Russell Wilson for this matchup, because if you're in your fantasy football playoffs in your season-long league and you have Russell Wilson, you have to try to get somebody else, because this is not the matchup you want to use him. And if that's the thought in season-long, then why would I say differently in FS? Like, I just don't think that this is the spot where you die on Russell Wilson hill. Like, give yourself a better chance, I think. But it's hard. It's really, really hard. I try to imagine this scenario, and I try to think about the reasons why Russell Wilson is able to do the things that he does. And I don't know. This is a really hard game for me to think through. I don't think he should use Russell Wilson, because there are other quarterback options on the slate that I think have a better path to 25-plus fantasy points. You know, like, it's hard. This is a really hard one. Don't play Blake Bortles. I can say that one for sure, because he sucks. That one I will just absolutely say straight up. Leonard Fournette is an interesting thing today for this slate at $7K. I think that he's priced down based on recent production has not been great, but, like, he's incredible. He's a very, very good running back, and I think that Seattle's beat up enough to let him run kind of wild on them, especially at home. And that's the other thing that I was going to talk about with Russell Wilson, is that he's not as good on the road. He's much, much, much better at home. And traveling all the way across the country, literally as far across the country as you can possibly go, from Seattle to Jacksonville, it's going to be really, really hard. So, I don't know. I don't really like this game. I'd rather hear you guys' thoughts on it. I can't get a good beat on it.
Russell's a GPP play at that, not a go all in play. So I agree kind of with both of what you guys said, but I don't mind playing him at 6,200 because ownership will be extremely low. And if you do play him, it's naked. I don't mind Baldwin or Graham, but I can't stack this game. It's more like if you play those guys, you got to play them as one-offs. Like Baldwin, I'll have a lot of short passes to help move the chains, but I would prefer to avoid it. I get the GPP angle on Russell, though. The other side of the ball, D.D. Westbrook at $4,200. I don't mind. The Seattle secondary defense as a whole, but secondary is very, very depleted. And D.D. back-to-back games now that he's getting in the full workload, 9 and 10 targets, double-digit production, $4,200. I'm all in on that. I agree with you as well, Bucks. Marquise Lee at 52. He's been tearing it up. This 1-2 punch they're starting to develop, they're pretty solid. I kind of wish Hearns never comes back, but he'll be back sooner than later. Let's keep an eye on those combos there. Bortles at 5K. I like him, but I'm not playing him. He got me 28 points last week. He got 23 the week before. I will not play him this week. I'll play Savage or someone else. Gabbert even before I played Bortles. But he's there at 5K. But pretty much Westbrook's the only play I really like. I don't mind Jimmy Graham. That's the one place you can't beat the Jags in the passing game is the tight end. So Westbrook at 42 if you only have to pick one. Let's move on to Philadelphia at the Rams. Last game on our main slate. The Rams are 2-point home favorites. Totals 50, the highest total on the main slate. Again, watch for info on the fires in LA. James, kick us off on this one.
All right. So this one I actually have a couple thoughts about, unlike the last game. So I really, really like Wentz in this spot. This is the quarterback that I kind of want to use on this slate, and it's like the last game of the main slate, and it's the hammer. And this game could really, really go off the rails. I really like Carson Wentz. I really like Jared Goff at 6,600. I really like Todd Gurley at 8,100. I really like Jay Ajayi at 4,500. I really like blah, 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 blah. Like, I can like everybody in this game. It's interesting to me that Alshon Jeffrey is still only 6,300 after being really, really good over the last couple weeks and getting plenty of targets. I mean, he's had at least 50 yards in every single game over the last couple weeks. Double digits in every game since week 7 where he put up 5. And that is one of only 4 games that he's had this year with single-digit points. So he's been super consistent in 6 targets, 9 targets, 7 targets, 11 targets up against this Rams defense. I think he could do really, really well at 6,300. I'll probably have a super, super balanced core of wide receivers with all these guys that I like with a whole bunch of upside, but like relative downside as well. I think you can stack this game back and forth. I think you can go Carson Wentz to Alshon Jeffrey to Nelson Aguilar. You could use Jared Goff going to Cooper Kupp and Sammy Watkins. You can use whoever you want. I think that Sean McVay is a good enough offensive coordinator and Carson Wentz is a good enough quarterback that this game can go 30 points on each side. The main targets that I really want from this game are Carson Wentz and Todd Gurley because I think that if the Rams are going to keep up with this Philadelphia team, it's going to be on toss-outs to Todd Gurley in the red zone that avoid that kind of zone scheme they run for Philadelphia. So this is the game that I want to pay up for. Like, I'll get my value from the other games in the middle of the day, but this is the game that I want to pay up for.
Yeah, I absolutely love Todd Gurley at $8,100. We've shown him to be, for the most part this year, matchup proof. Literally double digits in all but one game that was at home against Seattle, and that was that BS game where they changed their game plan and decided they didn't want to give him the football. So he's been very, very good this year. I'll play him at $8,100. The Ajayi thing's interesting. He's really looked like the Ajayi everyone thought he'd be when he left Miami. Shocker. So he's interesting at 45 as a cheaper back, but I do like Gurley a lot. Wentz and Goff both in play. I agree with everything you said there. Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Receivers, I do like Aguilar at 5,200 if you want to save some cash, but they're both good options there. Kupp at 62 as well is in play. So you're not having to spend up too much of the receiving core like you would on most areas. So I like that. But Gurley is my top player in this game at $8,100. And then you can mix and match and game stack this one, as you mentioned already, James. What do you like in this one, Bucks?
Yeah, I agree with James about Gurley, about the dump-offs. I do think that's the way that they go this game, and I think it'll be one of those games where he catches 5 or 6 balls for 75 yards, something like that. Like, I definitely see that happening. I love him at $8,100. I do like Carson Wentz in this game. I just don't really know where he's going to go. I just know that he's going to find people. Period. He's good, and I think he can expose this defense. The one thing I'll say about Jared Goff, because I do think a lot of people are going to go there, even though his price is a little high. Goff has played a few really good pass Ds, or I guess pass rush defenses this year. And those are the games that he has struggled when he's gotten under pressure in Minnesota and Jacksonville, Seattle. Even Washington at the beginning of the year, their pass rush was pretty solid. And that's where he struggled. So I could see Goff struggling this game with that Philadelphia pass rush. And with that concern, I can definitely see playing him, but that's the concern I have. And at $6,600, I think there's better value on the board to go other places. So outside of that, Zach Ertz is way too expensive and banged up, so I'm going to avoid there. But honestly, the one guy that I do like this game, because he is a touchdown monster, Sammy Watkins. So Gurley and Watkins, I like this game. Other than that, I'm not a huge fan.
One thing I will mention, if Ertz is out, Trey Burton, the backup tight end, $2,900. He's been very productive when he's had to fill in for Ertz this year and last year, so he's a guy to keep an eye on at $2,900. That's some value if you need it. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 6-point home favorites. Totals 44 in this one. Again, just like Cincinnati, this is a beat-up Pittsburgh team, but they're staying at home. Sunday night football against an arch rival in the Ravens. Bucks, kick us off.
Yeah, there's quite a bit in this game that I really like. I don't like Flacco, and I want to dislike Roethlisberger, but it's honestly, it's hard to ignore kind of what he's been doing over the last few games. I mean, he's averaging, I think, over 3 touchdowns a game over his last 4 or 5 games. It's just crazy. With that being said, really the main guy that I want in this game is Antonio Brown. I think who is Jimmy Smith, I think. The Ravens' top corner is out this game, and Antonio Brown is going to heat. I mean, you're not going to stop him. And so he's going to get 15 targets and 10 catches likely. And so I love Antonio Brown. And he's $9K, and I still see him hitting value. So I love him this game. The defenses, I think you could go either way and still have a really, really good shot. Like the Ravens D at $2,700 seems way off to me, especially this rivalry. Typically, I know not recently, it's a little lower scoring. There's a lot of turnovers, and but $2,700 for a Ravens defense that has caused 6 defensive touchdowns this year is great price. So I am likely going to move that direction on a few lineups.
Welcome aboard the Ravens defense train. It's been fun. Yeah, don't mind them at all at $2,700. If you aren't using their defense, though, this game intrigued me to play like Bell and Brown if you want to fade either or. If you can stack both with value, you might be able to. I need to look into that. If you can get both of them in your lineup to be outstanding, but especially Bell, if you do this and fade Kamara, you need to play Bell basically. If that's your option. But both of them have been outstanding, so I don't mind either one of those as plays. I do like the Baltimore defense. If you want a Baltimore receiver, Mike Wallace at $4,400. Very nice value there. I don't mind him at all. And in a slugfest type game, if Alex Collins is healthy, he's questionable, banged up. Oh, he's back now. He was questionable last night. It's $4,800. Don't mind him at all. He's just been a workhorse for them, so he's in play. If you need a little game stack, if you're playing the two game primetime slate, you can play those options there. But Bell and Brown easily great choices there. James, what do you like in this matchup?
Pittsburgh at home is always better. Baltimore on the road is always worse. I don't mind a Pittsburgh stack here. We haven't had really a killer bees explosion yet. I guess we did last week, didn't we? Like with Lev Bell and Antonio Brown just going absolutely ham. But yeah, I remember a couple weeks ago we all said that the Pittsburgh Steelers would get back on track and they'd start doing their thing. And Here we are with Ben Roethlisberger crushing and Antonio Brown crushing and Lev Bell crushing. So I don't mind a full Pittsburgh stack, but that's the only thing that I like in this game. I think if you're going to commit to it, because these games, this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game is always the same thing. It's always like 24-17 or something like that, like a low-scoring affair. If you think that it's not going to be a low-scoring affair, if you think that Pittsburgh actually puts up points, then you just take Lev Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, and Antonio Brown, and you just go with it. I don't know. It's hard for me with the introduction. Well, Juju's going to be out this week, isn't he? He's going to be suspended?
Yeah, he's suspended.
Okay, well then Martavis Bryant at 4,500 is another option.
Super good value.
You can go where you want here. Jimmy Smith is an incredible cornerback, but Antonio Brown is the best wide receiver in football. So if you want to stack Pittsburgh, I'm all aboard that train. I'm fine with that. I'm going to focus more on Philadelphia, LA Rams on this game, but I understand stacking Pittsburgh in this spot. I'll be interested to see. Do you guys have any thoughts on Flacco at 4,700?
Flacco sucks.
I'm done. I'm done being wacko for Flacco.
Word. Okay, no, that's fine. I mean, I just think if you think that Pittsburgh's going to go ham, then Flacco's going to have to throw. So
I think it's a tight game that they'll get theirs. We've seen in even tight games with Pittsburgh that Brown and Bell still get theirs. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it, at least.
I mean, he had his best game of the season last week, and he got 18 points. So, I don't like his, well, I just don't like his ceiling, I guess. I mean, if you're going to win a GPP, you can't have 18 points out of your quarterback.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I like Pittsburgh in this spot. I'm fine with that. I prefer Philadelphia, but I like Pittsburgh just fine. I just think they're expensive.
Yeah.
I'm only playing them like the full game and stuff, or to fade Kamara, basically.
Word. Yeah.
Let's go to Monday Night Football. Somehow my Dolphins are like on their 5th primetime game of the year. Really, NFL. You already rehired Goodell, and now you put these guys on TV again. England at Miami. Miami's an 11-point home dog. The total's 47. James, what do you got on this one?
We talked about this game 2 weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
Copy and paste all my thoughts about Tom Brady destroying the planet and just paste them here. Like, it's the exact same Miami this time, not in New England. Like, I don't care that the Broncos weren't able to score on Miami, and I don't care that Miami was able to score on the Broncos. Tom Brady eats the Broncos like freaking mini wheats, all right? I don't – just play Tom Brady, play the Patriots, play Brandon Cooks, absolutely play Brandon Cooks because there's no Gronkowski. Like, just play Tom Brady and Brandon Cooks. If you're playing Thursday to Monday, play Tom Brady and Brandon Cooks and just call it a day, and that's all. You don't have to do anything else. Just do that.
Yep. Brady, Cooks, want a cheap tight end and Dwayne Allen at $2,700. Knock yourself out. Burkhead's been just a beast, even in the receiving game at $5,900. Kenyon Drake on the other side at 54 is pretty much still the main option there for Miami, so I don't hate that at all at 54. Landry, but then Stills at 49. That's the cheap receiver from the Dolphins. Kenny Stills. I believe it was against New England. He had his worst game against New England, so maybe this will be the bounce back. He's had good career success against New England overall, though. He's played really well the last 5-6 weeks with Parker up, so I don't mind Stills at 49, Drake at 54, but the main focus, as you said, Patriots in play. The one caveat I will say, and somehow it happens every year, New England sucks in Miami. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't think it happens this year, but I'm just saying it always does. It's really weird. I've never been able to figure it out. They somehow do. And they'll go to New England and get the crap kicked out of them. So that's just how it works. Bucks, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, first, how does Miami draw playing the Patriots 2 out of 3 weeks?
The schedule's a disaster. Like in the East, we play almost everybody in the second half of the year for some reason.
Dude, it's crazy. Like,
yeah.
I mean, God bless. That sucks for them, man. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, play Brady, play Cooks. If you want to take a flyer on Dwayne Allen, historically the number 2 tight end has gone bananas when Gronk has been out. So, sure, have at it. But, I mean, good Lord. Brady at $7,500 is like value city. I mean, it's hard not to play him and Cooks. Landry on the opposite side, I really like this game as well. And then he's going to be chalky, Rex Burkhead, but I'm not a huge fan. But I don't know, man. It's hard to ignore just doing what James said and going Brady, Cooks, and being done with it and winning all the money.
Yep, it's not the worst strategy in the world. All right, that wraps up 16 games, Week 14 action. Let's get our bold calls out there. I'll start it off so you guys have a second to think about it. And I hope this one's bold enough. I'm going in the same game. I'm saying Tom Savage outplays Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G's balls this week.
I am going to say that Isaiah Crowell gets 20-plus fantasy points.
That bold. I like it. James, what about you?
I'm going in that same Browns game. I'm going to say Deshaun Kaiser is a top 5 QB this week.
That a lot. I can dig that.
Hey, I wanted to ask you.
And Blaine Gabbert will be the 4th quarterback this week. Sorry.
Do you guys have any? I know I can find it, but off the top of your head, that Browns game is supposed to be like 27 and snowing. Is there any correlation to snow, weather, and the QB's ceiling?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is.
Enhance.
I thought that Bubba was going to add to that. Yeah, so when the biggest correlation for quarterbacks and performance is wind, with wind, sustained wind 20 miles per hour or more, not gusts, sustained wind of 20 miles per hour or more, drops them by like 4 fantasy points on average, I think, something like that. Snow is not great, but it's not that bad. Like, weather actually doesn't affect them as much. Wind does. So okay. I wouldn't worry so much about the snow. At that point, it's really just about actually worse. Yeah, it's actually worse for running backs because they slip.
The weather is 29 with 19-mile-an-hour winds and snow.
Yeah. Keep an eye on that because if the wind is sustained 20 mile per hour up, then I would worry about it. But if not, then I don't care.
And it's always better for the offense because you can cut faster on those defenders that can't plant on that slick surface. So
backing up instead of going forward.
Josh Gordon can just run deep all day long and just run past guys that much easier.
I like it.
All right, let's do some position by position fun real quick and head out on our way here. Quarterback position. Phillip Rivers or Alex Smith?
Rivers.
That's tough. I actually say Smith. I'll say Smith.
Okay, well, I think I know our answer here now. I thought this would be closer, but James threw out his Russell Wilson card all of a sudden. Does Russell Wilson go for 20-plus versus Jacksonville?
I'm saying yes.
I'm saying no. I have to say no. I wouldn't feel right saying.
I picked that number because he has like 5 or 6 straight weeks of that. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah. The only reason I think that happens is because I think he rushes for 70 yards.
That's very possible. That's why naked is the way to go, as you said. All right, this one's dirty. We have Kaiser at 4,900, Savage at 48, Gabbert at 48. You have to pick one as your value quarterback. Who do you take?
Savage.
Savage, man. I guess.
And then the last but not least, who is the quarterback you'll own the most of this week?
For me, it's going to be Derek Carr for me.
For me, it'll be Carson Wentz. Absolutely.
Nice. All right. James, you got the running backs?
So if you're playing the full slate, do you Alvin Kamara?
What was that?
If you're playing Thursday through Monday, are you playing Lev Bell or Alvin Kamara?
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Lev Bell.
Even if Mark Ingram misses?
No. If Mark Ingram misses, I'm likely moving to Kamara.
Yeah,
okay.
That could change things.
Yes, just because Atlanta's D versus the Ravens D is not even close.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Moving down the list a little bit. Rex.
Not sure.
Yeah, we lost you there.
Oh, did you? Burkhead or Dion Lewis?
Oh, jeez.
Burkhead.
That's tough. Yeah, I'll go Burkhead. Yeah.
That's correct. I'm doing this so that ownership ideas, and that's it would be less than Burkhead. Samari preferred Morris.
Morris.
Yeah, Morris.
Okay, I agree with that one. And then who's you guys' favorite running back?
Under 4K?
Yeah.
I mean, if you count 4K, it's going to be Crowell. If you don't count under 4K, man, that's tough.
Gio
Gio at 31. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it has. Mike Davis is interesting for Seattle against Jacksonville. He looked really, really good.
Yes, he did.
To consider, but I think we can all agree on Gio.
Yep.
And who is your favorite running?
Gurley.
Oh, yeah. I would say for me, it would be Gordon this week.
All right. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, Bucks.
All right. For wide receivers, first question, is Antonio Brown worth the 9K price tag?
Yes.
Barely.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have said no until I saw the injury news coming out of the Ravens camp.
Yep, that's big.
Yeah. All right. How about Hopkins at 85 or AJ Green at 73? Which one would you rather have?
Hopkins.
Hopkins. Yep.
Okay. Who's your favorite guy in the 7K range?
Tyreek Hill.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm gonna say Michael Thomas.
I like that a lot.
That's a good one too.
All right, 6K range.
Fitz.
Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, I like Crabtree a bunch this week. I'm going to skip over the 5K range, but I do think that Brown and Diggs are the two options there that we would have picked. So, sub 4K guy, who do you like?
Sub 4K. I screwed up and I wrote down in 4K. Give me 1 second here. This is good radio. I mentioned him earlier. Where the hell is he? If James has his ready, he can go. Feel free.
say Deion Thompson with no Jordan Matthews.
I'd look at
Good.
I like Braxton Miller if Ellington doesn't go for Houston.
I do like that. I do like two others. I like Gabriel, Cordero Patterson if healthy, and Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, all good choices. Very good.
All right. Last question. Who is a guy you love this week that you think will see low ownership?
I'm thinking Robbie Anderson because people are going to avoid Denver.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'm going to have – I say Stephon Diggs. I just think that game is coming, man. Like, game's coming.
Yeah, I think he'll be super low owned. What do you think about Julio being fairly low owned because people are going to pay up to go with Antonio?
Possible. They might pay down for Hopkins also. He's in that middle game. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's just hard to ever see Julio cheap.
Yeah, Julio is interesting to me. Okay. Cool. That's what I have for receivers.
Tight end position. Will Travis Kelce make value at 7,400?
I would say no. He hasn't hit 20-plus fantasy points all year, so no.
Yes, it's 7,400. I think he can destroy Oakland.
I like it. Safarian Jenkins or Seals Jones?
ASJ.
ASJ, man.
Hey, they're the same price almost. Anderson for Houston or Njoku for Cleveland?
Anderson. Love him.
Would have said Njoku, but I did see something earlier this week that the coaching staff is unhappy with Njoku and his development as wide receiver. So I have to say Anderson. I do think Njoku's interesting.
Last but not least, who is the tight end you'll own the most this week?
Hunter frickin' Henry against my Washington Redskins.
It's a great pick.
If I play Thursday through Monday, it's going to be the dude for the Patriots, backup that I can't remember the name of.
Dwayne
Allen.
Yeah, Dwayne Allen. If I play Thursday through Monday, Dwayne Allen. If not, it'll be Burton, actually.
Yeah.
I like it. Any defensive questions, James?
Just who is you guys' favorite for 3K this week?
Under 3K. I think I'm going Tampa Bay.
Mine would be one of two, either the Ravens or the Bears.
Yeah, mine's Tampa Bay or the Bears.
Yeah, mine's the Cardinals or the Bucks. So we all like Tampa Bay. I mean, I guess I could ask, like, do you guys think those at 3,400 is just completely off the board at this point?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes, because I did look at them pretty hard.
Yeah. I'd rather go elsewhere.
Well, yeah, those are the only two questions I really have.
Okay, no problem. Well, that'll wrap up our Week 14 edition, 16 games in the books. Any final words, gentlemen, as we're almost done with the season?
Yeah, I mean, we're almost done with the season, and it's the start of season-long playoffs. So good luck to everybody that has some cash riding on that. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. And then good luck. And, again, congrats to Jesse at DFS Golf Gods for crushing it last week and winning $100K.
Yep, absolutely awesome. James?
Yeah, I mean, congrats to anybody who's done well on this podcast, man. That's why we do it. We do it to make and do a good thing for the community. One of us hits the nuts this week, and we end up
Yes, I agree.
Yes, definitely. With that being said, check Bucks out on Twitter at BPSnow11, James at Paydirt_DFS, and I am at BDentric. We'll catch you guys next week, week 14 in the books. See ya.